Hi, I'm Chris, and today we will be patching my Jamuary patch for the day together. We've done that a few times now. Go check out my recent videos, and we will see if we can do it again today. To me, or for me, it's already quite late. Had a long day at work and stuff. So let's try to make a chill patch. I already have a small melody going in the background because that's more interesting when I'm talking. And I actually quite like it, so instead of patching from scratch fully, let's commit to that already and I'll explain what's going on here. For starters. Alright. You see, we have a very basic setup. Let's actually comment that we have our typical clock setup, our reset trigger, and our clock, micro clock that outputs a 8th note pulse. And that is driving the rhythm of everything that's there now. I use microsine to generate triggers and pitch. Used all three of the triple sines. Thinking about it, I could have used the combined output. Well, never mind. To get triggers from sine wave, I use the micro trigger sync. I have patched the first two sine waves into this, and whenever this little LED lights up, then these two sines have crossed the zero line, or the sum of these two sines have produced trigger. And a trigger is basically everything greater than zero. But to release a trigger, you have to go back down to zero or below. So whenever these two sines cross zero, to the positive, then there's a trigger when this lights up. And to sync it to my clock, because I have unsynced these times, the speed of the sine waves, I use the trigger sync. It's patched to the 8th pulse, and whenever the sines generate a trigger, it's stored until a trigger is received here, then it is output and released, awaiting the next trigger. And this way you can create rhythmic sequences from any material. Obviously, if you have a very fast LFO, very fast fluctuating input, then you basically get a trigger every time. And if it's too slow, then you won't get a trigger at all. Let's demonstrate that for a second. Let's remove these two triggers. So now we only have this one sine wave, and if I increase the speed, it's basically every clock pulse, because every time the clock triggers, there's already a trigger waiting. And if we go too slow, well, there will be a trigger eventually, except when we go to zero, because this actually goes to zero and then stops. Can play with the face. Okay, never mind. I'll stop the madness and patch it back together. So as you can see, that's a neat way to get pseudo-random trigger sequences. Well, actually it would be random, but I use this re-trigger input of the microsines that resets it to wherever the phase knob is placed. And I use another output of microclock that's set to 4 bars to reset the sines. So now I get a pseudo-random sequence of triggers that is 4 bars long. I can set that to, let's say, 1 bar. And then I get a repeating trigger sequence that's 1 bar long, because after 1 bar, this modulation is reset, and therefore the produced triggers are reset. But let's put it back to 4 bars, because I like that little resulting melody, or rhythm better. But speaking of melody, let's see how we actually produce the melody. And this is done with this sample and hold module in combination with the attenuator. Because if we do not use the attenuator, I can show you that really quick. Let's go directly. The output of this LFO is -5 volts to +5 volts, which is 5 octaves down and 5 octaves up. So that range is way too much. And to rein that in, we use an attenuator and set it to, let's say, 0.2. That 5 times 0.2 is 1, so it goes 1 octave up and down. And we offset it by roughly 1, so it fluctuates around 0 and 2 now, roughly. Depending on where you set these or how accurate you set these, you get different melodies. Or different results, I'd better say. And to get a more interesting result, I have again combined multiple sine waves. In this case, 4 of them with different level settings, so different attenuation. And note, only the first one has an offset, because if you offset all of them, the offsets combine as well. And if I offset every one of those by 1, I have 3 octaves up instead of 1. We use the sample and hold to capture the resulting voltage whenever a trigger is output. Because when a trigger is output, that means a new note is playing, the envelope generator is triggered, and we have a new note. To further refine the sequence, I have used a quantizer. We do not have to use the quantizer, actually, we could just use it like that. And that gives us some atonal melodies that do not follow a scale. But in my opinion, it's easier to use a quantizer and follow a scale. Because when you add multiple voices, that's what scales and music theory is for essentially, you can combine them more easily. So if I'm in D minor, for instance, as I am here, and I add another voice that's playing a melody or a bass line, and that is also only using the notes of D minor, then it's highly likely that these do not clash and they sound pleasant together. But of course, if you have great ears and lots of patience, you can go without quantizing entirely, and that might produce some very interesting results. But since Jamuary is very quick, so I need to pump out one of these patches every day, I use tricks to simplify the process. And what's even more is I can turn on and off notes that I want and do not want. As you can see, this is not a full D minor scale. We can reset that real quick so we get the full scale. And I did not want that, so I turned off all but 4 notes. We have the root, the third, the fourth, and the sixth. And I do that because in my experience, to get catchy melodies, you have to limit the notes. Or yeah, that's not true actually. Sorry. An easy way or a simple way to create catchy melodies is to limit the note range. So you only have a few notes, and that results in catchy melodies more easy than having many notes. You can write elaborate melodies with as many notes as you want, and that's still, I don't know, #1 hit record with the most catchy melody ever. But it's a lot harder to do, especially when dealing with pseudo-random voltages. So limiting the notes that are playing is a great way to create catchy melodies faster. Let's put it like that. So I have 2 oscillators spaced 1 octave apart. That is then routed into this screaming filter on low pass input. into the amplifier, into a ping pong delay to get some space and more rhythmic complexity. Yeah, that's basically what we have so far. So let's call that plucky melody 1 and leave that here. So we have rhythm generator, melody generator, oscillators, filter. There's the let's order it like that. Envelope generator that is triggered, of course, by our trigger sequence. Perfect. Alright. So with this Jamuary, I've set myself the challenge to produce a different genre every day. I'm not sure if I succeeded in that so far, but I'm trying. And for today, let's do that as well. But of course, I did not think about that before starting the recording, so I have no clue what genres there are left that I can think of quickly. Okay, before we're wasting too much time, let's just get going with, I don't know, a bass line or something. Okay, let's use shifting phase oscillator for that. And I can already predict we will need another quantizer. Or maybe we don't need another quantizer. Let's do some crazy things. Right, let's first set our sine waves to some moderate speeds. Then route that to the attenuator. Oh, of course, output to input. Tune the levels a bit, because with this we will be modulating the phases of the oscillator. Shifting phase oscillator is essentially a triple morphing saw to square wave oscillator, where you can control the phase of each of the individual parts to create a thick layered sound. So let's do that real quick. We shift. Maybe let's shift phase 2 and 3 and do not shift phase 1, so that we have one stable pitch, because modifying the phase, moving the phase back and forth will pitch or will create pitch fluctuation, which has a chorusy or unison-like effect. That's basically what this module is good at. We can, however, use the last sine wave to add some PWM, pulse width modulation, and we set the morph to anything in between saw and square. Okay, let's do that. Then this is the point where I need to add a mixer, because now I want to mix different voices. Of course, I set the mode of the mixer to summing the inputs, but clipped, just to get just to protect my ears and your ears. And I add a DC blocker as well. So let's see. Okay, that's already promising. Let's see. Okay, that does sound cool. So now, for the funky part. Let's sample the note sequence that is output to the oscillators that create this plucky melody. And let's, you know what? Let's use the same oscillators here to create a sequence. Okay, I see. So it's playing a similar melody, but since these triggers do not align, the notes that are picked are sometimes off by 1 or 2. Which kind of is a cool effect. Let's add a filter. Drive the filter. Okay, I like that. Maybe we can add another AD envelope. And let's drive that by the 8th note pulse. Maybe that could be cool. Give it a little bit of movement. What else? Let's add an amplifier. And let's actually add this amplifier in front of the filter. Because this filter is non-linear, it saturates nicely. It is, of course, level dependent. So let's abuse that. What do we do here? And we can even combine these envelopes. That's cool. Okay, I think I found my calling. Today we will produce a patch that does not use drums. So an instrument, not an instrumental. I'm stupid. Sorry. Yeah, a patch that does not use drums. Just some voices that interact in a way or another. I like that already. Okay, what do we need? I think it's time to think about space and modulation. So let's add R where X Air Windows Universe. And then we can disable the clipper and the DC blocker from our first mixer because it is routed into the second mixer that already has these enabled. Silence that for now. So we will add some reverb with some detune for a chorusing effect. Universe has this brightness control, which turns down high frequencies, and if you turn it up, then the high frequencies are let through. Big, that's just the space, the reverb size, and replace, that's a neat little control which determines how many samples in the reverb buffer are replaced by new incoming samples. It lengthens the tail of the reverb. Guess that's the simplest way to put it. And with this plucky melody, turn it up even more. That gives us a nice little atmosphere in the background. Okay, I think we can make stuff more interesting now anyways. We can use the sine LFO to modulate parameters on these oscillators. See, maybe phase distortion Y. Let's use another one. Maybe use phase modulation from the oscillator that's 1 octave lower to the oscillator that's playing at bass octave. Okay, that does sound interesting. We can crank the resonance on the screaming filter to really get the scream, and we do not have to worry because the amplifier is put after the filter, so self-oscillation or any out-of-control resonance is controlled by the amplifier anyway. And the signal from the oscillator is driven hard into the filter because it's the combination of these two signals that add up, so yeah, it will push the resonance back a little anyways, so we can safely crank up the resonance, get a more pronounced filter sweep, because of course we have connected an AD envelope to this filter as well. Maybe let's add some decay to accentuate this filter sweep now. It does sound cool. Okay, now it is balanced against the bassline a lot more, because it has more pluck in the attack and can stand out more. Bassline, let's go. Alright, next idea. We will use micro noise and a comb filter to get some physical modeling action in this patch, because I haven't done this all Jamuary, and that's essentially a crime. I need to add physical modeling somehow. Plug physical. Why not? Yet again, we need a trigger sequence, and we have one of the trigger sync slots free. So let's add this and that. So for this we have the bottom and the middle, the top and the middle, and the bottom and the top on this. So we have three sequences, that trigger sequences that are kind of related to each other, and I think that's quite cool. Micro noise has a built-in amplifier, so we can use that. We only need a very short burst. Let's turn down level. And this is stereo noise, so we will use the stereo input of microcomb as well. And let's give that a listen. Turn up feedback or dampening. Okay, that's cool. Tone is essentially a low pass filter in the negative and a high pass filter in the positive that's in the feedback path. In harm, that's a sample rate reduction in the feedback path. But of course, if we do that, it will get out of tune. So let's not do that right now. And to get a melody, we will use quantizer and we will use different notes. Let's see, like this. Okay, maybe not use this. That could work nicely. Because we still have the root note, we have the fifths now, we still have the sixth, and we use the fourth. And these are notes that are, yeah, 50% present in this first scale, and not present. Might be interesting. Okay, where do we get our notes from? Let's use micro LFO. 2 of those, and the first one is frequency modulating the second. Turn down the level. Let's choose maybe sine wave, and this one will be a saw wave because saw wave, if we leave out the modulation, then this would be, yeah, a simple saw wave. Okay, let's quickly show that. Okay, I forgot, we still need a sample and hold. Oh, we can actually use another channel of those. Where's our trigger here? And we can use the clock to reset our LFOs to get a pseudo-random instead of completely random sequence. Okay, so essentially the saw wave will continuously go up, and that will produce melodies that are moving upwards, which can be uplifting. And if we now frequency modulate that, we might get interesting melodies. If we play with the phase relation of these two, we get different results as well, different frequencies. Let's add DC offset, and we will set the scale to whole volts, so we can basically tune this octaves up. Okay, that's interesting. let's set delay, because delay makes everything better. I like where this is going, though I don't like it yet. Maybe we need to add a flanger. Which is interesting because a comb filter is kind of similar to a flanger. It's just that a flanger is a modulated comb filter. Make it stereo. That almost sounds like percussion. Almost. But I won't admit that it's percussion. Okay, maybe we need some more movement. I think that works, but we need to attenuate that. So what I've done here is I doubled the number of cables that goes from the AD envelope generator into the amplifier, which essentially doubles the CV. So if it were plus 5 volt at the peak before, now it's plus 10 volts, which doubles the signal in effect. So I can dial back the attenuator and get more level, because I've already turned that up quite a bit. The ping pong delay turns down the level a bit. It's just because how it works. And I will add a filter, steep filter, because this plucky melodic sequence is essentially in the bass range as well. So let's just get rid of some low end of a gentle 12 dB. High pass at somewhere around 100 hertz. I don't know why, but this plucky sequence is so quiet. Maybe we can mix in. Yeah, that's nice. So the micro screaming filter is an input mixing filter, which means that depending on where you patch the input signal to, you either get a high pass, band pass or low pass. And power user trick, if you patch the same signal to all 3 inputs, you kind of get an all pass filter. Since it's non-linear, it will not be 100% all pass, but it's a non-linear all pass. And yeah, you can of course also combine different signals with these inputs. So now we get the low pass response of our 2 saw waves, but we also get the band pass response of this square wave mixed in. It's square wave that screams for pulse width modulation. And this mod knob or modulation section with the knob and this corresponding CV input has different effect on the different waveforms, but for square wave it's pulse width modulation. So let's try that. I guess I like that. We haven't used FM operator in ages. I'm just kidding, I used that in like every patch. So let's use that again. Are there any more interesting ways to combine these triggers? I doubt it, so maybe let's add something that's not related to the existing triggers, like a Euclidean trigger sequencer. I don't know, 5/16 with an offset of 4, maybe. Our 2-octave DC offset comes back here. Okay, that's cool. Let's connect that to the reset trigger and see if it's still cool. Okay, maybe we need more offset. That's not it. Okay, maybe that's cool. I'm not quite sure. But I know I want to add some octave jumping. And we do that by setting that to a square wave. Scale that to be from -1 to +1. We can also scale that to be from -0.5 to +0.5, and then we offset everything by 0.5, so we get an output of 0 to +1 volt. Maybe that's cool. Let's need another ping pong delay. Now we need to extend our mixer. And let's patch the output in reverse. Because a ping pong delay works in a way that the left signal and the right signal are feeding into each other's delay lines. So essentially you get the left delay first, or the left delay tap, and then the right one. Or on some ping pong delays it's reversed, so you get the right one and then the left one, or you can select it. But on micro ping pong delay it's fixed, so the left one is first and then there's the right one. Did I mess that up? Yes, I messed that up. And since we have this first plucky melody already patched in a way that the left ping pong delay is first, let's patch the second ping pong delay so that it does the opposite. Oh, we actually wouldn't have needed the second mixer. I feel like something is missing. Something that hones in the rhythm. Something like drums. Damn. We committed to not using drums. I like how this is coming together though. It's now essentially just a few random bleeps and bloops. And this oscillator isn't even... Well, it is in key because C is part of the key. But I guess it would be better if it played some melody, maybe. Some more notes, like D and A sharp and A. Yeah, let's patch all of that to the input. And let's use another LFO. Okay, maybe let's do something more interesting. Let's use a tempo synced LFO. Saw wave. That will give us a sequence. And of course we need another sample and hold. Okay, that's cool. So what I did here, I took the second channel of the micro-Euclidean sequencer and set it to a less populated sequence. So Euclidean works that way: you have your hits and the steps, and the hits are divided evenly onto the steps. So now with I have 16 steps, a sequence of 16 steps, and 5 times during these steps there will be a trigger output. And it's calculated so that the triggers are spaced evenly from each other as best as possible, so as they can fit onto triggers, because there are no fractional triggers in between. And then there's offset, which just moves the sequence left or right. So if you have something like 2/4, then there's 2 triggers spaced on 2 hits spaced on 4 steps, which would be hit, no hit, equal spacing. But then you can also have something like, let's see, 4/8, which would essentially be the same. Hit, no hit, hit, no hit, hit, no hit, hit, no hit. So 4 triggers in 8 steps. But it gets interesting if you have a ratio that's not as easily divisible, like 3/8. So then you have hit, miss, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss. Because you need to space that a little. And that gets interesting fast. And here I've chosen 5 hits in 16 steps. In the second sequence, 3 hits in 16 steps. So I have less hits, which control the sample and hold, which means that the note that is playing is changing less frequently than the note is triggered, or the rhythm is triggered. It can be interesting. In that case it works. But let's see if I reset everything, if it still works, because it's well possible that these 2 sequencers have diverged. Okay, we do not need to reset this LFO periodically because it is already synced. And the good part, or the interesting part about this is an it's not an uneven ratio, but it's a ratio that does not repeat within 1 bar. It takes a few bars to repeat. So I guess from the top of my head, correct me if I'm wrong, this will be 6 bars until everything is back in sync, which makes the patch more interesting because it's less repetitive. Plinky Keys. That's a good name. Okay, but I've completely derailed my thought process from before, that we need some rhythmic element, some static rhythmic element, which is not drums, so no bass drum. Besides, we already have a bass line. And our physical pluck already does sound like a hi-hat, so it'd be pushing it just to add some, I don't know, pitch dive, sine sweep, and still call the patch without drums. What can we add? Well, if in doubt, just add some FM. Let's add our 2 operator FM. Just add FM. 2 operator FM, micro 2 operator FM, free module, go get it in the store. It's wonderful. Yeah, let's make some lo-fi stuff. Let's add another Euclidean sequence, I don't know, 7/24. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Let's give it some odd spacing. I wanted to have a static rhythmic element. Why am I adding Euclidean sequences to that? Damn. I lost that thought very quickly. Okay, let's set one clock to a quarter pulse. And let's try this. Just trying stuff out here. Yeah, that's promising. And we will take the output of this quantizer that controls the plinky keys and sample that with our quarter note pulse. Can remove this Euclidean stuff. Add some fine detuning. Kind of like how pretty that sounds already. Let's hide that a bit in the mix. Let's hide it a little bit more. Yeah, I think that's working great. Let's try clipping the second mixer for some crunch. Because, if you recall, this has some bass. This plucky melody. So this might be driving the mixer into saturation. We filter that away with the steep filter after the reverb, but at this point it's still present and might give us some gritty texture. So whenever there's a note playing here at full power, it drives everything else with it into the saturator or into the clipper. I think that's it. And we're under 1 hour. I have 55 minutes or 55 and a half minutes on my recording timer. I think that's a great result for the given time. Well, maybe not a great result, it's a result. With Jamuary, part of it is to accept the jam of the day. Because you have days where it's just easy and your creativity just is there, you get a spark of an idea and everything is flowing and you get a patch really fast. But then there will be days where it's just not like that, and today is one of those days. So that was a bit of a bad idea to record a video then. But yeah, it's important to also show that side of creative processes. Let's drench it in reverb. Okay. Jamuary25. This is day... what day is it? 27, I think. And since I'm recording voiceover, this is hosted in my DAW. Which means you cannot see the tempo, but I know the tempo that I've set it to. It's 130 beats per minute. So when you host Voltage Modular as a VST, it takes the tempo of the host. Alright. So what's left is to find some MIDI mappings so that we can actually play this patch and create an interesting progression, and obviously record it, but I will do that offline, so not while recording the video on how I create this stuff. Alright, first things first. Let's start by MIDI mapping some levels so that we can add and take away some elements. Obviously the bass line is a prime candidate, and this plucky melody as well. Do we have anywhere? Yes, we do have. We can use this attenuator to get rid of the pluck. Okay, nice. Now what's left is plug physical, blinky keys, and this just add FM thingy. Guess let's combine plug physical and just add FM, and let's have blinky keys as one separate thing. So do I actually have control here already? Where is the oscillator even? Oh, it's here. Okay, I do not have control yet. That's great, because now I can use this attenuator. Okay, I've already found another prime target for MIDI mapping. The decay of the envelope that controls the amplitude here, that sounded great. But for now, let's map the CV signal that's controlling the amplifier of micro FMO, so that we can take it away. Shoop, now it's gone. Now it's back. And let's find the envelope. Oh, it's this one. That's cool. So let's see, where is the plug? Where can we start controlling this? We do have the comb. That's going into the flanger, that's going into the delay. But yeah, of course, the comb is triggered by the micro noise, which has a built-in amplifier, and we can control that. So let's see, roughly at 0.5 at half is 0, and at 3/4, 75%, it should be roughly 1. Okay, now only this one is left, and here we have the same approach. We have this level CV, and we will use this control again. This attenuator again, sorry. Let's see. Ah, silence. Obviously, filter cutoff. Oh, that sounds lovely. I like that. I think we can maybe increase that again. Maybe let's inverse that, so when we so now when we turn up the filter cutoff, we will decrease the output. When we turn it down, we will increase the output gain. Roughly tuning by ear. I'm not much of a mixing engineer, so that should do it. What else can we control? I think that's just background fuzz. Maybe we can control the shape of or the length of the decay here. Okay, let's We control the feedback of the comb filter inverse to the decay length of the noise burst. To roughly level the resulting sound and also to get a different character of the sound. So if we have less feedback, we will get more noise pushing through and less tone. Yeah, I like that. So when we increase the decay, more noise, more energy in the patch. Okay, that's great. Maybe we can turn it down a little even. Okay, maybe let's find some controls for the plucky melody as well. Yeah, obviously frequency. Oh, that's cool. You can hear the resonance squelching and chirping. Oh, I like that. So all together now. Maybe let's turn this down a bit more. So it's just in the background a little. Yeah, I guess that's right. That should do it. Save that one more time. And that's it for today. That's how you create a patch without drums for Jamuary. Guess there's nothing more to say. I'm also very tired. So if you came this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing. That helps the channel out a lot. That helps to spread the word and to get more people to see these videos. And maybe there's a patch tip or two that someone might enjoy. Someone might help someone out. I don't know. If there's something you want to know more about, feel free to ask it down below in the comments. If you have feedback for me, also please feel free to comment that. If you have criticism, obviously that as well. How's your Jamuary going? Is anybody still doing Jamuary? I kind of feel that Jamuary has lost in popularity. I remember a few years back my YouTube feed was spammed with Jamuary jams, and I really enjoyed that because you got a lot of interesting things that people came up with daily. And this daily jam really forces you to get creative, because if you are repetitive in your patching or in your ideas, it becomes apparent very quickly. So if I put out the patch every day and it's sounding the same every day, I will notice that. Hopefully. I'm saying that so confidently. Maybe all of my jams sound the same and I'm just blind to that. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. But nowadays I don't see much Jamuary jams. I do really enjoy this format, and I plan on finishing this year and maybe make another Jamuary next year, because this Jamuary is almost over. Jamuary has taught me a lot. It's actually quite fascinating how forcing yourself to do something every day gives you another perspective, gives you so much self-reflection, you know. I always question myself after these patches, like what could I have done differently, or is there any technique that I used that might be very cool that I can reuse. Like, I think micro trigger sync is pretty new. It was not around last Jamuary, so this technique with capturing triggers from various modulation sources and then syncing that to a clock pulse, I did not do that last Jamuary. I came up with this this year, so I explored that. What else might be new? I don't know. This year is a lot more lo-fi themes as well, because now we have micro lo-fi delay with the sample rate reduction and the jitter and the bit depth reduction in the feedback path. 2-operator FM that has sample rate reduction. I remember last year I have used bit filter a lot on drums because I really like that sound, and sweeping bit filter sounds very special because it's a very odd filter. And I have used that this year as well, but not as much. I have used much more lo-fi techniques this year. I think I used erode more this year, which adds noise to the signal. I did a lot more with noise. Actually, I have one jam that is just noise and sine waves. So I have explored many things this year already. It's given me more ideas for modules, of course, but also for my patching. I think Jamuary helps me out a lot. And it'd be cool if it helps you out as well. So, with that being said, again, like and subscribe, and have fun patching. See you around.